Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Concordia University's Fourth Space. Thanks for joining us for the next part of the Symposium series yesterday and today, the Indigenous Futures Research Center's annual Symposium. Now, we're having an afternoon workshop today, but we would like to begin by acknowledging that Concordia University is located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. And we respect the continued connections with the past, the present, and the future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community. We're running this as a live stream to YouTube and to Zoom. So if you have comments or questions there, we're doing our best to kind of help you, participate and see what's happening here in the workshop. Add comments into the Zoom. We'll do our best to kind of to help you there. And any, comments or questions you have, you can pop those into the chat and we can read them out. Okay, let's get things started. So I'm thrilled to pass the microphone over to one of the coordinators for the symposium this week, Alicia Ibarra-Lemay. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, perfect. I'm like, almost like, is this thing on? Thank you so much. So, hello, welcome all. I am one of the coordinators for Symposium, but also like many other students, other staff members here at Concordia, I wear multiple hats, and I'm happy to be joined today by one of my teams, one of my other hats that I sort of wear, of the Quebec Youth Research Network Chair at the Indigenous Stream, a research chair here at Concordia. And so we're going to kind of switch it up a little bit. I know since yesterday, if you've been here, we've had a lot of talks, panels, and we will talk to you a little bit. We'll try to keep it short, concise, entertaining, but we also will have try to engage you, especially those who are here, but also we will welcome those who are on Zoom or on the live stream on YouTube to also interact if possible. But yeah, I think what we'll do first is we're really just going to begin as well, just introducing ourselves, like who are we, and exactly what we do, what we're talking about today, and then we'll really get you all working. And something that we're really big on is adapting, being flexible, and so we're trying our best in this space as well to adapt and be flexible, with the numbers, with who we have here. And so bear with us, but we hope that you'll enjoy. And so maybe we can begin actually from that side to introduce our team members, and then we'll come back this way. Oh, Mike. No.
Okay. So I'll start. I also am a student, so I'm working with a lot of hats too. With the researcher, I started as an assistant researcher in September, I believe, so it's pretty new. But I first met with them through my other hat as a student at l'UQAM, a master's student, and I've been interested in working with Atikamekw youth, engaging into cultural transmission projects. So now for over 3 years, I've been working with them over there and slowly finishing my master degree. So yes, happy to be here with you.
Bonjour. Hi, I'm Natasha Blanchet-Cohen. I'm a professor in applied human sciences over there at Loyola campus in the youth work program. Been teaching there for the last 15 years. But I have the great pleasure for the last 7 years to be the PI, co-PI on this youth research chair and working with this amazing team. I also wear many hats as a mother of 2 young adults. I like to say that's my biggest accomplishment or work. And I'm here in this space as an aspiring ally with a commitment to creating a platform for Indigenous voices and communities. Thank you.
Amazing. And I'll introduce myself now with my other hat. So yeah, the mic's yours. So I'm Alicia. I'm Ganyigehaga. My family's from Ganawage, Bear Clan. I'm also Chilean. And I've been working with this team for 5 years now. So it's been really incredible. I'm currently a PhD student in the Indie program. We've had a lot of Indie students pass since yesterday. So I'm like, yes, representation and the struggles, the challenges, but really amazing. And I honestly have been here at Concordia it's been years. I mean, if for some who kind of listened to Llewellyn, like I had Llewellyn as a teacher in my first semester at my bachelor's, and I kind of haven't left Concordia, because I've also just been surrounded by amazing people like Luelle and Natasha, and I'm just so grateful. And yeah, I also work alongside Hannah Claus in the research chair in Ukwe and so just, happy to be here.
Hi everyone, my name is Véronique Picard. I'm a Wendat, a member of the community of Wendake, and I am also someone that wear many hats. I'm also a PhD student here at Concordia, so my interest is a lot about youth leadership, creating space for that leadership to flourish. I'm the coordinator actually of the chair. I forgot to say my first hat here. And I've been working with Natasha for 7 years now, almost 7 years in April. And I've grown a lot as a researcher too within this chair. I think I've done projects and that having a background like I have, a background in criminology, I did research before. It's just totally different to do community-based research and action-based research. And we're gonna talk to you a bit about that today. So happy to be here and welcome everyone.
And so I think maybe we're just gonna begin, short, the sort of elevator pitch or the spiel of exactly who we are, because although we are housed within Concordia, a lot of people do not know us, and we're just happy to any opportunity where we can share what we do, what we've been doing for the past 5 years, going on 6 now, and bring in some of the incredible work. And so will I pass it to our chair, who will?
Yeah, so I'll give you the elevator pitch on what is the Youth Research Chair. Thank you, Alicia, for giving us this opportunity to talk, because it's true that within the Concordia community, we less have an opportunity to share some of the work we've been doing, although we did have a big launch in December in Force Space, so you can also see some of those panels that were shared at that time. So the Youth Research Chair was a response generally to a need to know more about youth in Quebec. And there's 4 streams that were created, one around health, one about education, one about employment, and one specifically related to Indigenous youth. So we have the pleasure of hosting the one specifically on Indigenous youth within Concordia. There's 5 faculty, I think, from Concordia, so Llewellyn White, Kathy Richardson, Sigouin Vierge, and Jason Lewis, who are in the renewal of the Youth Research Chair. And there's about 22 co-researchers from different universities across Quebec who work in the area of Indigenous realities and youth, not necessarily specifically, but broadly. Not most importantly, I would say youth are part of the chair. We have a very active youth committee, and a lot of the work that we're going to share today is really driven by the work by the youth committee. And we have community partners. So we have about 10 community partners of Indigenous youth, Indigenous organizations that work with youth who are youth-driven, depending on the case. And so we have this big mandate of informing, influencing public policy, of creating new ways of approaching research. And over the last 6 years, we've created a whole bunch of different resources that have impacted, with the aim of impacting different spheres, academia, but also informing programming and services. We work really from the perspective of, with community partners, what are the needs that you have? How can we support you? And within youth, the same philosophy, young people, what would you like to be as research priorities? But I'm gonna let other people talk about that more after. And what can I say? We are an amazing, dynamic team here at Concordia. We have a little team who meet and really do a lot of work. And we have a lot of innovation, although we're given by the Youth Secretariat certain key areas of priority, because ultimately we would like to inform governments with research tools. But within that broader scope, we also have a lot of leeway as well. But our priorities are around education, healing and well-being, youth voice, and access to services. So is that a snapshot?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have I missed something?
No, that's good.
For now, I think you will start to uncover, we're just showing you a little, the tip of the iceberg, but, we'll start to like show you the rest as we go. But I think also just wanted to mention the fact that we are, Llewellyn. We like especially had called it our presentation around youth leadership, and it was also in theme with our sort of theme of the year, which is around youth leadership, and we want to show the aspects of like youth leadership in research, but also most importantly in practice. And so we're hoping to bring one of the sort of tools that brings together our large ecosystem, and also more importantly the voices of Indigenous youth, a lot more, highlighting it, putting it more forward, to show you exactly, what they're saying, what they want, what they need. And so we're showing you one tool today, which we call actually our resource bundle. But we're showing you a little bit, and if ever there's, any questions or anything, please feel free. And I do not have access to the whole one. But anyways, so yes, I will pass it off now to Vero. Maybe you can give some context.
Okay, and you'll show the.
Yeah,
when you can.
sorry.
All right. So the context of the resource bundle, you'll see it on the screen in a few minutes, is in the last 6 to 7 years, we've created a lot of resources. These resources are. Hearing myself.
Sorry, why do I hear it? It is muted, but it's now blacked out. Sorry, hold on a second.
It works? Yes, it does. Okay, we're back. So we've created a lot of resources over the last years. Like Natasha mentioned, our ecosystem is really big, so it involves researchers from around Quebec, partner organization, so Indigenous organization that have do a lot of work for youth, and also Indigenous youth themselves. So we have a youth committee that is at the center of kind of the tools that we create. One of the things that was mentioned, I think it came directly from one of our committee member, was that those resources were difficult to access and to find online, and how can we make sure that we can find these resources and that these resources are used. So we created a resource bundle, so it's this toolkit, and at the center, what structure this bundle is the postcard, the graphic here that you see that we created with the youth committee themselves. So every year we focus on one theme, and then we kind of build from that a design with someone that kind of reflect the perspectives of the youth around that specific theme. So what we did is so this is kind of represent each year's. It's five years, and there's resources associated with those postcards. So you'll be able to like click within the postcard. We'll see. We'll show you later. But basically, this resource bundle, just to let you know, the type of project or resources that we create is really diverse. So we don't necessarily just write articles or reports. We also focus on having accessible, creative type resources. So we have podcasts, we have videos, we have graphic representation of a discussion or a certain theme. We have like a bunch of different type of resources. So the youth actually helped us design this, and then we worked with an Indigenous organization called La Boîte Rouge Vif to kind of put this together for us with the vision of the youth. And at each card that is explained, it's actually a member of our committee, so it's really cute. And those designs were actually created by our colleague Carole, who's a really great artist. So yeah, is that it?
Yeah, and so, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying to go slowly too, not to make anyone nauseous as I'm kind of going through it. But yeah, I think we'll go into it, but generally, it was really important for us to be able to have like our youth at the forefront. You know, we love that our team member was like, actually want to create illustrations of them. And so it was like, you know, they were the ones who really put this together. We had, you know, moments of every single year we do these retreats, and often there's sort of, we call them creation retreats, and we sort of, you know, bring our youth who are coming from really varied places across Quebec. Some are living in the community, some are not. And we always bring them, you know, we centralize somewhere, we go for a weekend, and we just sort of create, you know, we talk, we come together, and really kind of, you know, come together as a family, and cook together, you know, we play games, but as well as we're creating, you know, we're doing research, but doing it in a way that really speaks to them. And so we really want to make sure we put them at the forefront and have them there.
I forgot to mention one thing. One thing that was very important when I first came in was to make sure that the youth committee was included actually multiple realities and multiple experiences and views, and not necessarily just focus on giving the space to students or Indigenous students in this case, but actually opening up to youth within communities, within like our youth committee, not all of them are students. And I think it was very, very important for them to be included, because the way our discussion, the way they're created, but also the way they engage with each other is, I think, totally enriched by having those youth. And they have things to say because they are living things within their own communities and their own realities. And so I think that's one of I think we're all proud is to include many voices and many experiences within our committee.
And maybe one just last thing before we get into it to mention is that you will probably notice that it is mostly in French, and most of the tools that you all received, the physical ones, most of them are in French. Yes, we're housed within Concordia, but we work mostly with a lot of French partners, French communities, and so as well that process of accessibility, and also funds, doing translations in multiple languages, unfortunately, is a sort of challenge. And so a lot of the times the tools we create or the resources we create are usually in line with the specific, the need, the language. And so today we're going to present mostly the English resources that we have that were created. But some of the cards are mostly all in French, except the green one, the engagement, is the only one that is also in English. If there are some missing, we have some extra. We sort of try to fan some out. And so, yeah, I think we'll kind of get into it and show you as well how it kind of looks, because you're kind of, just seeing the first page, but once you click on each card, you get a lot more like depth and kind of seeing specifically how we can kind of navigate this. And so just to sort of say sorry, I'm also on Zoom. Okay, perfect. The card originally on that first page looked really, colorful, and then we get here and it looks a little bit more gray, and it's so that people can also kind of put their mouse over some of the words, if the internet is wanting to show, this is supposed to light up. Okay, perfect. So, sorry, technical difficulties. So you can kind of go over and see which of the sort of actual, the keywords that you can click on. And I'm not sure actually was mentioned, but we honestly, in creating this, we really had to narrow down the specific resources we're going to be using, because we had such, a large amount, and I think we chose 50, and we really had to choose wisely, and it was a hard process. The amount of weeks we're also going back and forth and also showing it to our youth, and we're talking and we're it was just a whole process, and working with our sort of web designer. And so we had to narrow it down to 50, but who knows, in the next 5 years, maybe we'll have 50 more, 100 more, or, this becomes a whole different sort of resource. But yeah, and so I'll let maybe Vero touch upon this one.
Yeah, so we'll make you work in a few minutes, but we'll present a few cards within that. So the first card that we created, we co-created with the committee and Emmanuel Dufour, who partook in the creation of the first 3 cards. It was the first time actually that we were gathering and that we were bringing our committee together. I remember being really nervous. It was actually here, and that was in 2019. And we had youth that we've never met before, so it was all about trying to create a space that made them felt safe, but also heard and seen. And like the idea was to create a visual to represent kind of their vision around research. It was met with a lot of
Skepticism?
Yeah, that word. At first, which is really totally normal because of the way research has been towards Indigenous communities, a very extraction taking and not necessarily giving back. So it was like that idea of reciprocity was really important to us. And I kept asking them, we were doing kind of like a workshop to create this, and I was asking them like, what can research do to you, do for you? How can we support you? And then they kind of like turned the phrase and were like, well, what can we do for you? You're gathering us here because we have things to say. And so it became kind of like the framework for this card. So this card is around decolonization of research. And it's one vision. Well, it's like the vision of about 10 youth. So I'm not saying that this is like the thing to follow. This is one view. And it really is around, I guess the, how can we value the knowledge and the experiences of youth, as Natasha says all the time, expert of their own realities. And so when we were talking about decolonization, a lot of them were actually not necessarily seeing themselves within the word, or they didn't really, I guess, didn't really know how to apply it within their own work. So yeah, I don't know if you want me to actually show.
Can click on
Some, yeah, so some of the resources that we've.
sorry.
It's this one. So every time you click, then you'll find a resource or multiple resources. This one is around storytelling. It's actually Michelle Smith's project. She's part of our co-researchers. And I don't know if you wanted to play it a bit, or we don't have
a snippet. It's like,
Yeah.
but it's one of our actually lunchtime talks that we started actually during the pandemic. When we were kind of like, how do we still engage in research, talk with youth, how do we still kind of come together around these topics that are really important? And we started a sort of series of lunchtime talks, and this was one of them. Often we'd sort of pair up our youth, our researchers, and sort of kind of be like, what's a topic that, speaks to all of you? How do you want to come together, but still kind of have that aspect of community that we were all missing during the pandemic? And so this is just one of those sort of talks. I think most of them are like at least about an hour. And so I won't show this one, but if ever you're interested, this one is available and really interesting. And we can show another one. And this one too.
Well, you know this one more. It's the mapping called Convergence. This is done with also 2 of our co-researchers with their own group of youth that they work with. I think Alicia actually was part of that. And it's, I don't know if you want to explain it because you know it better
well,
than
just
me.
generally, it was also, again, the same tone of how we find ourselves like in the city. So a lot of the youth that were part of this group, did not grow up in Montreal, kind of were either away from their communities, or were just sort of first, just moving to Montreal. And it was sort of like, how do we still find ourselves? How do we still connect as Indigenous youth within the city? And so we created this sort of map. And this one too is also very interactive, where we had actually a youth, Fabienne Théoré-Jérôme, who had created this, and she wanted to sort of have this image behind that is kind of like hide and like you're kind of like or sewing it together, and then making it look like all of these flowers were sort of like beaded flowers, and then the little bubbles are actually each of the youth speaking upon a theme that was really important to them that connects to their connection to the city, and so that was just like one thing, and they're a mix as well, English, French, of some of the main things they're discussing. And then I guess the last sort of tool that we want, or this last resource maybe we want to present for this specifically, we'll pass on to our colleague, Camille.
Yes, so this visual was created in Manawan within a weekend of organized with the Projet Madagan, is a partnership program, partnership project between LUQAM and Manawan's community, mostly the education sector. So we organized like a weekend with some of the youth of the youth committee, and we were there to discuss mostly about research and action, how to do research in community, what is important to the youth to bring in research, or to where is important to bring research for the youth. I think was one thing that got out of the discussion. So we see in the center, we're under a chapiteau, which is a tent, a round tent. And I think that shows well how for the youth in research, it was important to see everyone on the same feet, sitting in circle, discussing of these ideas as equals. There is a lot to, and I don't know the resources as well as my colleagues, but I think some of the elements we can see is at the top there to like find their pathways. So I think one of the things that got off of this discussion is in research research with youth is an opportunity to like help them find their path and construct their path. But for that, there's many consideration to like take in consideration as the canoe to shows to that reconciliation and this idea of the decolonization of research, to be the allies and the youth to be in canoes that go together in the pathway and help each other. There was also, what else? I'm kind of far and I don't really see from there, but.
Just a braid.
Yeah, there's the braid to this idea too of like braiding values that are important for the youth and their needs too. So they're to be able as ally to listen and to be adaptable. I think Alicia said it at first, but it's really to take the time to do the research, to make it relational, to make it useful for the youth. And also the 4 spheres of well-being are written down. They're not, the medicine wheel is not there, but the 4 spaces are there. Also to remind the space of emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual well-being in research too. So those are some elements that I would say. Also for research to be spaces, also just as the committee is, to be spaces for reconnection through your nation, through your community, but also through other nation and other youth, and sometimes also to elders. So I think that was one of the things that was put up front by the youth, and that is really, it's something we try to work through, if I put my other hat, through the Projet Madagan, to be also a space, yes, for research, for documentation, and to bring up space for cultural transmission and documentation, but also to bring, to make roles for youth to participate in that, as assistant researcher, as coordinators, to bring their ideas into it, and to bring, to give them experience to try and figure out this path on their own, but also to be accompanied by allies and their elders and their community through it. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if someone wants to add up on that.
And maybe I'll just add, like, this was also, just to sort of say one last thing about this, this was also a really incredible experience that we had gotten going to Manawan. I mean, we went there, you know, it's all gravel road going there. A lot of the youth, it was their first time as well going to other communities. And getting that chance to also sort of step into, you know, a whole different environment and sort of see. And it was, yes, it was minus 30, 35 at the time, but we were in little tents. It was an amazing experience. About 4 days, no service. And it was a time to also just connect. And honestly, Arlie, be like, let's talk about research. You know, we don't have those distractions, but let's really get down and this sort of really this image of us in the Chapituan, which was really, again, our colleague Carole, who was the one that illustrated it, was us pretty much the entire weekend. We were there, really had a sort of firekeeper who was keeping us warm the entire weekend. And it was just, we were just sort of sitting, us as well as researchers that we had brought, and community members who came to join us, and the amazing dogs, our res dogs that kind of came to join us and as well play around with us. But it was a sort of way of like, we were just, you know, sitting on equal footing, and we were just talking about, well, you know, our own experiences. And we had a lot of these amazing moments, even just as youth who were sort of like new in research. And we're like, well, also, what do we want? We're now, you know, young researchers, and we're sort of like, we're entering this space, and like, how do we see this? What are things that we feel like we need? And it was sort of just this moment for us to discuss this. And we had the researchers in a different circle discussing how can we support youth, you know, in this process. And a lot of this then our incredible, Carole put this all together and was sort of just like, okay, I'm hearing all these different things that you were saying. Let's put this all together. Let's come together. And we kind of like, we're all in a circle drawing and creating. And it's just another moment for us and how we kind of do our creations, and adapting with as well the needs of, you know, community, and kind of seeing, okay, how do we still discuss these topics, which are really important to get down to, but in a way that, you know, speaks to everybody and that feels just so comfortable. You know, you don't want to be like, let's do an interview now, or a group interview, and let's just discuss and go around the circle. Like, no, let's get into it in a way that really just doesn't feel maybe like the sort of traditional way that you would think research is being done. Like, we're still doing research, and we're just doing it in a way that is fun and engages people. And so now, on the topic of engagement, we will now stop talking for a little bit, and we want to engage you and sort of, you know, we tried usually when we sort of, you know, come to these creations, we always have this process of, you know, our youth who are, we'll say, you are a youth committee here and you're creating with us. And we want to sort of bring this and adapt to the space as well. And this is not traditionally how we would do it, but we still wanted to be able to bring an element of creation with all of you. And so maybe if you want to move forward.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is linked to the first card, this one. And we would like for you to either write, draw, whatever you feel comfortable with. What would you what images or words would you add to this card? So if we were to do a second one and start from this one, what would you add? You can write, you can draw, and we'll talk about it after.
I think what's important too is like given your context. So no matter who you are in the university and on the university, what's something that you're like, yes, this is something that speaks to me. And so we'll give you a few minutes to create, to draw, and just be in. If there's nothing from this card and you want to choose something else, just write it, draw, create. And we encourage those as well who are on Zoom or the live stream. If you want to write stuff in the chat, please do. And so we'll give you a few minutes and we'll be quiet.
Are we done? Are we done?
For timing's sake, maybe we'll give 1 last minute. So sorry to rush everybody. Just so we can stay on schedule.
All right, so we'd like to see if there's one or two people that would like to show their art piece and talk about it a little bit. Oh, l'écriture, c'est correct aussi, là. Ouais. Yeah, okay, yeah, thanks you.
Merci, thank you. J'ai très peu dessiné. I just drew something on the, and I had a question. J'ai une question. My name is Roberta. I am not Indigenous from North America, although I do speak an Indigenous language. J'ai des questions. I have questions. And thank you very much for this session about sharing and exchanging ideas and learning more about what the Indigenous Youth Research Council does. J'ai des questions. I have questions. Is reconciliation an important or an interesting topic? C'est délibérément posé comme question. C'est pas moi qui ai la réponse.
Hi. So I draw an ear to think about how attentive listening is really important for humans and non-humans relations. And then I also put a mouth to think about how important it is to discuss authorship in research, circulation of that research, and profit. And lastly, I put also like to remember always the body and remember always the land.
Is there just one last person that really want to say something? Oh, fight.
Kay, they, them, thank you so much. I may have not understood the question properly, but I think what I was trying to draw was maybe just previous experiences working with Indigenous youth research peers and how food has always been really important to be able to eat together, to feast together, to just, you know, be humans together. How like laughter and music has also been huge when we've worked together, and to just always have those present. These types of experiences, and you may be able to speak to that, I think brings a lot of pride and meaning to a lot of the folks that I've worked with, and they're like, I'm a peer, I'm a researcher, I'm like doing some badass stuff. So like, I think that's incredibly important and like speaks to reciprocity. And then I just put a little mirror at the bottom, like just the importance of reflexivity in terms of our positionality and how that plays out in terms of power dynamics, or whether between older folks and younger folks, or white folks and non-Indigenous folks, able-bodied, non-able-bodied, those types of things. So thanks.
That's really great. Thank you for sharing. We don't. If we had time, we would actually like do a circle and give space for everyone to share, and then we would probably discuss from like your own perspectives and like collectively discuss about it. So, and then we would create something like this. So it's just to give you a snippet of the type of work that we do, but always with food and relaxed and chill time. And we give space a lot for fun too when we do our retreats. So now we're going to go to the second postcard that we co-created with our youth committee. This was done in pandemic time. So it was all done on Zoom. And it's very different from the first one. The first one is more like kind of a conventional graphic design, like the way it's structured. And this one was really, I guess, the youth really like put a lot of symbolism within it. And so it's totally different. And it's a card that speaks to les jeunesses, the youth with an S in French. And it's really to highlight the diversity of Indigenous youth and like within also like their own identities, their own cultures, etc. So I'm not gonna like go around, but I'm gonna focus on some parts of it. So one of it is this, we are slowly reclaiming for ourselves. So this is actually a article that we wrote. I just want to make, can you click on it? I just want to. Because I just want to make sure like to properly name the people. Okay, well, it's an article that we wrote. Sorry, my English is failing me. It's one thing also that we try to do, just to highlight this, is we try to make sure that there's always a youth or multiple youth co-authors within our scientific articles. I think someone, I don't know if it was you or someone, or Kemi spoke about this, giving opportunities for youth to actually dabble in research and take part within research projects is also something that we do. So our committee, I didn't say, but they have a collective role, but also have individual opportunities to take part within different research projects according to their experiences or their interests. Oh yeah, this is actually another lunchtime talk that we led during the pandemic. It was around healing. It was actually with Kathy Richardson, this one. With Alicia, obviously, was leading the conversation. And what's this one again?
If I could be unmuted. And then for this one, again, because also Catherine Richardson has her research chair in Indigenous Healing Knowledges, this is also one of her talks that we collaborated on when she was doing a talk with the Ganistasara, the Mohawk matriarchs. And so especially just around both around the theme of healing, and both wonderful talks. And then
the last one will actually give space for one of our youth that wanted to speak about like one element of the card, and they wanted to write a poem around, I think, matriarchy.
And gender identity.
And gender identity. So this is Carlene.
Yeah, and so we want to just also bring, we don't have our actual youth committee members here present with us, which is something we usually always like to bring. And so we're like kind of in spirit, we have our, committee member, and so hopefully this works. Okay. It's gonna work. Well. Okay.
Not working.
No,
Not
okay.
hopeful.
Not hopeful. Okay.
So it's not working, but one thing that we actually, when we created the resources, there were some like parts of the card that we couldn't necessarily associate a resource to it. So what we did is we actually created conversations with our youth committee that were interested in the theme. So we have one actually that was really funny. It's a conversation between 4 or 5 youth. It's in French though, but they talk about Indian time and how they deconstruct that to actually talk about taking the time to build relationships and to be together. So and this one was was reciting a poem that she wrote herself. So, but yeah, all available on the website. And if you have a good Wi-Fi, it's gonna work.
But maybe we can show, so another one we want to do, maybe if the sound doesn't work, maybe just the image can show. This is also something in collaboration with the Projet Matagan, it was a film that was created by Marie-Christine Pitzquet, I think with Webkoni Mobile. So an incredible.
And us.
And yes, no, for sure. But like, a lot of the sort of the tools and everything. It wasn't us behind the camera. They were really, helping a lot and with her experience. And so I don't know if there's anything you want to mention before I show small bits.
Well, you're going to see mostly the space where we do the summer camps, which is one of the most awaited activities by the youth. So it's in the summer, and now it's been since 2017. It's like a two-week summer camp with programmation with elders, with knowledge passers, and artists. Many people from the Atikamekw Nation, but people from other nations too. And it's really to give. It's a transmission camp, but we also do a lot of space for the plaisir and laughter and everything, because it's youth in the woods. So there's always like a canoe close, so even if there's something planned, if someone goes by a canoe, we let them. And it's really to give them a space to connect together, connect with elders, and to have the chance to be in territory.
Because it's only accessible by boat.
Yeah, it's a little ride.
Yeah, and so everyone fingers crossed. This one will kind of go through. I think this one's mostly Atikamekw.
But I think it's subtitled in French, which is maybe not that helpful, but
Okay.
if there's no sound, it's
If
better.
there's no sound, that's fine.
Oh, you have the,
Oh, I guess.
Spanish,
interesting.
probably because it was showcased.
It's in Portuguese.
Yeah.
I think it's not in the settings,
It's
so.
it's part of the web.
Yeah, it's part of the film. I'm wondering if it's because it was showcased in.
Yeah, it's because we presented it in Amazonia, Indigenous Amazonia, in Brazil.
Also, it's not in Spanish. It's in.
It's in, yeah. Well. Okay, I guess I will skip through and show you clips almost of some of the moments, since clearly, it's working.
It's a really beautiful movie, so I invite you all to go and see it.
We're adapting as we go, but really beautiful. I think as well the element of transmission with elders and youth, really young youth, and just I think what they were able to get, the reciprocal sort of relationship that we're getting on both ends. Not just youth often, learning from elders, but what elders are also able to get from youth. And I think seeing the sort of spirit and the willingness of youth to want to learn. And so very beautiful. If it would have worked, but yes, I will. Trying to skip through and see, but it's not easy. Anyways, sorry, technical difficulties, but.
That's what I thought it was.
Well, probably I can just, yeah, the poem, okay.
Siwi, and this is a piece entitled Woman? Question mark. What is it to be a woman? Growing up, we are taught about gender and the roles. We are meant to follow certain paths, represent certain values. But what happens when we step out of that mold? I did not ask myself that question until I turned 18. Suddenly, everything was different. I used to be a kid, simply a student, a growing human. I used to wear dresses and baseball caps with no regard to anything other than comfort and mood. But then I understood what my dad meant by don't wear such short shorts. But why? Why suddenly am I seen as something other than my whole self? Why suddenly must I make myself smaller? Why am I not allowed to go to boys' night? I like sports. Why are people looking at me in this way? Why do these people think I like them simply because I have an interest in them as a human being with passions and interests? And why does no one seem to be interested in me as a human being with passion and interests? Not anymore. I am a woman now, a young lady, only good for one thing. Passion, apparently, or another word for that. Suddenly, half of me is not allowed to exist. The half that empowers me to speak, think, and grow. The half of me that suddenly I am not allowed to show because it's too much. Is it though? Because last time I checked, there is enough space for everyone. I have the energy and the drive to speak on what matters. I have the passion. Not that kind of passion. Maybe a little. I have the passion to fight for my siblings and the ones we lost before us. I have the passion to lead and give space to others. I have the passion to find the sisters that understand that I am not too much. I am just enough. In fact, we need more of me. We need so much of me that sometimes I simply cannot show up. But I do my best. I live my power. I hold the spirit of a woman after all. Tawink.
Thank you. Yes, and so that was just, yeah, okay. And so I think we'll wrap it up since we had a little bit more to show. But, with time, we will, I guess.
At first we were like, oh, an hour is going to be long. And
Or
then it's
no, we
like,
were like, it's not long enough.
is it?
With
I was like,
you and I.
No, it's always like an hour and a half or two.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we all try to condense things, but also make sure that people understand and also hear the voices of our youth. We try our best to have them present with us in the space if we can't physically have them there, and show just bits and pieces. But then people are like, but wait, what about this? What about that? And and we're trying to show you snippets of it, but also just highlighting just this importance of putting our youth at the forefront, and giving them the space to be their own leaders. Leaders for the communities, leaders for other youth who are out there, looking for this sort of representation. And so hopefully, with these sort of short snippets, you're able to get a sense of especially, what's really important to youth. We only touch upon even just a few things, but we're continuously ongoing, and we're renewed for the next 5 years, and we're continuing to create, to be with youth. And, we actually just renewed our committee, and it's the biggest committee we've ever had. We're 16, maybe 17 youth. And we're just so happy that so many people want to be part of it, that they, those who don't have experience in research want to, dip their toe in and just be able to, change the system a little bit, and just, also just change this vision of what research actually can be and how impactful it can be actually for youth. And so, yeah, maybe.
That's it? We're concluding? Okay. So we're not showing the last one?
No, we
No,
won't
okay, yeah,
yet.
because we don't have time. Okay, so thank you so much. I think, you wrapped it up beautifully, Alicia. I'm going to say Alicia. I don't know if, Natasha, did you want to conclude? Because
Oh,
Word. I think well, we all have different positions here, but maybe I'll speak more from my perspective in being, is the importance of innovation. Because when we created the research chair, we wrote the program proposal, none of this was planned. We didn't expect the postcards, that evolution, the themes were not pre-established. But it was allowing to create that space. And that's something like to take the risk of being able to allow for these opportunities to emerge. So when you look to the postcard on decolonizing, that was like the first meeting. We had it in 2019. 4 years later, there was that other postcard, which was a much more developed, in-depth understanding of what research is. And I think there's something really special about thinking about how do we allow for this emergence. And I think that's also really important in terms of providing youth voice. It's also young people finding their voice and creating those multiple opportunities, because it could be in a more institutional, like for space, but then it could be in the community, in the Chapitre 1 when it's -20. So I think that's something really exciting, and I think that there's a lot of learnings to do. And also for us as a team, to be kind of challenged thinking. You cannot imagine how many meetings we spend discussing about how do we create the space in order for these retreats to be creative and for everybody to feel safe, to find a voice, for that poem to emerge. I mean, that poem emerged, we've worked with Carlin for a while, so I would just say that as a concluding few comments. So, and 50 resources, there's a lot of resources. I really hope that you can draw upon them, spend some time clicking on all of them. At the end, there's a whole database with all the 50 resources. The website has a lot of resources that will be also, new resources are coming up. So we encourage you, hope you, in your different positions here, that you can draw upon them and use them. Because that's the most important, that it be used by other people. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming in for the workshop. We're going to be closing up the live stream now, but it does remain available on our YouTube channel. You can revisit it and share it from there. And those of you with us on Zoom, stick around. We're going to be preparing our space for the keynote with Dr. Iluli Ejlagi at 4 o'clock. So stick around. See you then.